Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. So, what is Theresa May's Brexit bill gambit all about? So, at the start of the week, she said she was going to be introducing a bill for her withdrawal agreement to Parliament in early June. Now, this is the same week that President Bonehead will be visiting, and it's the fourth vote on her Brexit deal, the one that has been comprehensively defeated 3 times already. So what's the plan in introducing the bill? Now, first of all, it provides Theresa May with some protection against the challenges to her leadership, which are now almost irresistible. Although there are some very loud MPs calling her to step down right now, there are also a number of them who don't see how it would change anything and just makes the party seem more chaotic. In addition, the people who would like to succeed her, and Boris Johnson just today has said, yes, of course, I want to succeed her, don't really want her to do it just now, because then they'd be faced with the same fate, as well as much of the blame for the impossible task that whoever is in charge faces. There is actually a possible reason why she might want to cling on a little bit longer as well. Someone was suggesting today, I hope this is just someone taking the piss, that she's just a few days away from the period of time as Prime Minister that Gordon Brown spent. And that maybe she's going, I'll just beat Gordon Brown, then I'll go. So if she went sometime in June, then that would do that. I hope that isn't true, at least. But anyway, many Conservative MPs would, I think, take the view that May should be given one last roll of the dice. So is there a chance the withdrawal deal could get through this time? There are 2 schools of thought that suggest it might, though I don't think either of them are realistic. The first is that if Theresa May can make enough of a change to the political declaration to at least get Labour to abstain, not necessarily vote for her deal, but abstain on it, then it would go through. Now, personally, I don't see Labour MPs doing that, and I don't see how Corbyn could justify whipping them to. In fact, Labour has said that it wouldn't be voting for the deal at all. Now, that's not the same thing as saying that they'll vote against it, but I can't see them wanting to play semantics on this. But it is nonetheless what some people genuinely seem to believe could happen. We know that Corbyn wants to leave the EU, in contradiction to what most Labour MPs, members and Labour voters want, so he would certainly be desperate to engineer something as long as he avoids the blame, but it's really difficult to see how he would do that. A minister was saying this week that if the deal isn't backed this time, then it's either no deal or no Brexit. But to be honest, they've been banging that drum for a long time and it hasn't been true yet. The second school of thought that is that if the Brexit party wipe the floor with the European elections, then some believe that Labour MPs in what were Leave constituencies might worry that their seat is in jeopardy if they don't back it and then be panicked into backing in the vote. But there are 3 major fallacies with this thinking. The first of which is that although the Brexit party could well end up being the single largest party in the British cohort of European seats, it's not going to get anything like a majority. Current polls don't even show it doing better than UKIP did last time. That is despite a huge campaign, wall-to-wall coverage in the media at the expense of other parties' representation, and refusal to debate the issues. Now, in terms of the media, again, we've been bashing the BBC quite recently, and I've got to do it again, I'm sorry. There's an article on the BBC News website where it's just basically explaining how the European elections work. That's all it's doing. Just explains how it worked. Very factual. It's all fine. But there's an image prominently in the article of a ballot paper. And when you look at, well, I'll show it here. Look at this image. So you've got the Brexit party not only illuminated and the other parties, which are not all there, of course, in darkness, but you've got a pen pointing towards the Brexit party nomination box. I mean, they're even pushing Brexit parties subliminally. It's absolutely appalling. But anyway, the thing is that if, let's say, the Brexit party are the largest party with European seats after this, they will, of course, claim that it's proof that the will of the people has been denied, that people want to leave and that they want to leave with no deal. Of course, that won't actually be true, because if the people really are upset, then they'll be voting for them in much greater numbers. But of course, we will just have to wait, in 1 week's time, well, not 1 week's time, 1 week and a day's time, 8 days' time, we will know the results so we can sort of judge then, can't we? The second big fallacy is, although there are certainly Labour constituencies that voted leave, and you would definitely say a large part of the population still probably do want to leave, most of those people don't vote for Labour. Labour MPs, even in Leave constituencies, are more likely to lose their seats by backing Brexit than opposing it. Of course, if the incumbent MP makes the mistake of misunderstanding where their votes are actually coming from, then it could still con them into voting for it. But I can't see a significant number being that daft. People do keep making the mistake of thinking that the Remain Leave split in an area is homogenous across party support. It absolutely is not. You know, you can have an area that was even 60% Leave. The vast majority of those 60% were not voting Labour. You can understand a Conservative MP worried about their seat over this, not a Labour MP. And the third thing is that although many citizens who vote and want to leave, those same people don't like the withdrawal agreement. And so voting for it doesn't attract votes. It doesn't secure your seat. Many people have been convinced that May's deal is worse than staying in the EU. Why is this? Have they carefully considered it? No, that's what the Brexiteers who tell them what to think have told them what to think. So how does backing her deal endear them to hardline Leave supporters? It won't. They will vote for hardline Brexit parties. But Theresa May's thinking does certainly seem to be, if it's not just to beat Gordon Brown's record, because that would be ridiculous even for the ridiculous times we're having in politics now. It does seem to be that she maybe thinks that the European election results might change the conversation as is being described. It might change MPs' approach. Maybe it will urge Corbyn to agree something. Maybe it will get nervous opposition MPs in favour of her deal. Now, whether that turns out to be true or not will be seen, as I say, the week after next, when the conversations about the results start to happen, and then, of course, the week after that, when the vote itself in Parliament will happen. So, how to actually vote in the European elections next week? Well, as much as it pains me to say it, now, I think Remain supporters need to vote Liberal Democrats. I am going to do that. If you're in a position to sensibly vote Green, Plaid, SNP, then by all means do so if you prefer. But I'd personally like to see a single party to focus the Remain vote. You could literally get 3 parties, solidly Remain parties, all outnumbering the Brexit party votes, and the Brexit party will claim victory. It's much better that the single biggest party is also a Remain party. As unlikely as that's going to be, but that's why I think people should swing behind the Liberal Democrats. Because I just think they're the best placed party to do that. In Northern Ireland, yeah, that's not an option. I guess it's just not the DUP. It is a pretty awful conclusion I've had to come to, because the individual Labour candidates are very pro-Remain, and openly so, publicly so, with the exception of a Corbyn plant in one region. And the thing is, we vote for MEPs, not a party leader. We're not voting for Corbyn. Nobody's voting for Corbyn next week. He's not up for election. By abandoning Labour in the European elections, we are abandoning good people who really do fight for Britain's interests in the European Parliament. But because of Corbyn's stance, any votes for Labour will be taken as a message that we support Brexit, albeit what appears to be a soft one. Not that I'm convinced that Corbyn really does intend a soft Brexit either. Now, because a danger that I do genuinely see is MPs misinterpreting the results. Few of them have the faintest idea about data analysis, after all. The bottom line is that if people were really angry at Parliament and wanted us to leave as soon as possible, over half the seats would go to either UKIP or the Brexit Party. That's not going to happen. But at any rate, although announcing this bill will buy May some time, it hasn't changed my assessment that she will be gone by the end of June, or at least the leadership contest to replace her will have begun by then. I don't think there are calls for her to go before a successor is chosen. They just want the process to have started, so there's a definite end to it. And losing the vote for a 4th time will seal her fate. There is nothing to continue on with. Even her closest allies are not just saying that, yeah, that's it after it's defeated a 4th time. They're also saying that she knows that. And given that many Conservatives seem to value her loss so highly, that would surely spur them on to voting against the deal again, regardless of how they might otherwise have done so. You know, just as the European elections are going to be taken as a symbolic vote for Remain, you know, or leave with a deal or leave with no deal. It's one of those three. People are going to look at the results and try and see where the balance of opinion is. The Brexit bill could also be seen as a symbolic vote of confidence in Theresa May as Prime Minister. Voting for it keeps her in power. If it goes through, she stays in power. Voting against it removes her. So if that's how it's going to be seen, how can it possibly go through? So anyway, I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe for further content, click the bell notification as well. Until next time, I'll see you later.